Julie, how are you?
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Not so bad.
Good, good.
Sorry, I did a bit. I'm just getting up another Zoom. I like all the medals you have there behind you. So you're all action.
Oh, yeah. I forget that that's there actually in this office. It's yeah, obviously dog training stuff.
All right, very good. I think Padraig is trying to connect up there.
It looks like he is, yeah. He assured me he was online and waiting, so
Yeah, he was.
see how successful he was.
I'll record this chat because it's handy for me to see what I said to you, and I'll send you a link to it as well. So
Sure, of course.
that's okay. Now I think I looked at your website before when you inquired. It's a dog training business you have in, just remind me, Tipperary or somewhere like that, is it? Or?
No, it's in Westmeath near Mullingar.
Oh yeah, that's where it is. Yeah, I remember the website was very good. How's business going?
It's very busy. It's very busy. So mustn't grumble.
No, good.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to Paul. What's he
He's
doing?
probably got low Wi-Fi there now or something.
No, he's got a lovely fibre connection where he is.
Ah.
He's very lucky.
Okay, we'll give him a minute and see if he can make it in. So what else is going on in the business there? Are you okay for staff?
Well, it's kind of getting to the point where, you know, we've grown it to a point where we're starting to struggle, which is a nice problem to have. But yeah, I feel a little bit like we need to just take a bit of a breather and try and get some of our basic fundamentals back under control, like our accounting. So I'd like to see things a little bit more consistent and predictable. And then we can start to look at expansion. We've definitely got plans for some additional expansion through the summer months and beyond. We're going to be working on another. Hello. We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Hold on. I had my head down doing something in my diary and I didn't realise that you'd even started because it didn't say anything. Hello, I'm there now. Hello.
How's it going?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
Grand. I was just checking up on how business was there with Julie. Good. You're all there?
You look very shiny there.
Yeah, the light is coming in the window. Is that better?
Yeah. Better.
Move a bit.
Very good. Yeah, I know you sent me an email. God, it must be a year ago now.
Oh my God, look. You've got the same cap as me. Copycat.
Yep. Wait.
Very good.
Yeah, it's a while since we first reached out to Kevin, so we're just kind of catching up on how things have moved on in the last sort of 6 months or so, because it was about June, July time, I think, where I first contacted Kevin and said, you know, we need a little bit of support with accounting. We did actually engage another accountant, someone who another dog trainer recommended to us and said, if you just go to this guy, he's going to magic it for you, which was great. And he did to some extent. But he's operating at the moment on a time and materials basis, which, as I said to you a minute ago, you know, we're looking for something a little bit more predictable and a little bit more consistent. So a fixed fee would be much more comfortable for me. I'd like to feel able to ring my accountant and ask a question without fear of getting billed for it. And so fixed fee arrangements usually work quite well for me. My background, other than being a dog trainer, is I'm an IT professional and I normally work in the UK. And so I've always run a limited company in the UK. So the idea of operating on a time and materials basis in Ireland is a little bit uncomfortable for me. I like to have that fixed fee arrangement where I know exactly what I'm expecting to pay on a monthly basis. And I think, you know, from Paul's point of view, he probably needs that predictability as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about the business and that type of thing. But I think from your website, Kevin, it looked like a monthly fixed fee or a quarterly fixed fee is something that you do offer.
Yeah, we are. I mean, you don't have to change your accountant either. You know, you're on QuickBooks. Does this remind me of that?
Yes.
Yeah. So it can be handy if you allow me to review of that. I mean, we've set up a different department since I spoke with you. It's called Profit Lab. And we're being hired kind of continuously most people are on that program, they like it, it's going fairly well for them, but it could do more for them. or there's some stuff it's not doing right. So I'm not sure, are you in that boat yet, having a clue?
I think we probably are. So whilst we've got QuickBooks set up, and our accountant is using it, I don't think he's using it to its capabilities, and we're certainly not, because I have invested absolutely no time in finding my way around the system at all. It's not, I don't use QuickBooks in the UK, I use a different system, although they are all kind of much of a muchness. Our transactions are pulled in there, and I do go in and I categorize our expenses. Beyond that, I do absolutely nothing at all. We don't run our payroll through it. We don't run our VAT returns through it. We don't do our personal tax through it. So it's definitely got a lot more capability to share with us, and we should be leveraging that more.
Okay. You're okay if I ask you a few questions, so, and I'll kind of tell you the dream.
Yep.
Are the two of you a couple or married, or what's the story?
No.
So you're business partners, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it a limited company, Julie, or a partnership?
No, it's neither. It's Paul as a sole trader, but we are looking to move it to a limited company because we think that's probably a little more tax efficient.
Okay. And are you an employee of Paul's then?
Nope.
No.
I'm just a lackey. I'm an unpaid lackey, Kevin.
These are very straight questions. All right. When you say you're an unpaid lackey, then what's in it for you in the business?
I guess I just get a thrill out of seeing a business grow. I enjoy building businesses. So
We're also doing the courses together and stuff like that, aren't we, as well?
yeah. So although I'm a dog trainer, that's not my, as I said, it's not my core business. It's not what pays my bills. That might change in coming weeks and months, but as it stands at the minute, that's something that Paul uses to pay his bills. And I've tried to, because we're close friends, over the last sort of 18 months, I've tried to sort of formalize that and create it as an official business and grow it from, the position that he originally had to where we are just now, which is a 6-figure turnover. So yeah, I'm not on the books. I'm not an Irish taxpayer. I'm not a partner in the business. I think I'm nominally, for marketing purposes, named as a partner in the business, but officially I'm not.
Okay, yeah, no, just to establish that. So, and so you've answered a couple of questions I was going to ask you about how much sales and all this. So, and then when the bills come in for the business, this is a bit more nitty gritty. They probably come by email and by post, and some of them are whatever in the cars. You get picked them up as you go along. Do you kind of just pump those into QuickBooks? Is that all that goes on at the moment? Is it?
All of the transactions are either by the business debit card, or they are paid for from either bank transfer or PayPal.
Okay.
So we don't have any cash transactions at all.
Okay, so I'll give you a kind of, I'll review it again, but I'll give you a kind of where I'd like to see you anyway, okay? Mm-hmm. So you can have a think about this limited company thing, but there's no priority on that yet, because there's a few other kind of personal points behind the scenes I wouldn't be aware of that might need to be addressed, okay? Okay. So what the QuickBooks will do anyway, there's 3 versions. You probably need to be on the top version, which is not that much every month. So I think we're about to up our prices, but that is not a sales ploy. It's just that we're discounting them with QuickBooks because we're a licensed reseller, and we said we can keep it because it'll go fly out the door, and it made no difference. And but anyway, 14 plus VAT would be the most you'd be paying, right, for just the license. Now you've the license already. I'd say you're paying more than that.
Yep.
Okay. You'll still have to stay that way. They haven't. Basically, I'll bring your license under me and it'll come down. That's the first thing I'm saying. It's just not possible yet because they're not long enough. Them the techie worked out. I'm not sure what the holdup is.
Okay.
That's them. But what should happen is that the type of programs I'd like to move you on to, and I'm not going to mention anything about price because the price is going to be irrelevant here for a minute. There's one program that we do, and if people email you the bill, it'll go straight into QuickBooks and the VAT is claimed. And you both have apps on your phone, so if you're going around the place, Padraig, and buying stuff, you photograph the bill, and if the bill blows away or you lose it or anything, or it fades, as long as it's photographed, it's in the QuickBooks. And then usually, if bills arrive in the post, you either scan or photograph them, and they're in. So the bills are getting in all the time because we find most people overpay VAT or income tax because they can't remember or they can't prove where all the money went, and then it ends up being called profit because, well, You know, if we don't know where it went, sure, you must have taken it. That's, you know, that's what goes on.
Yeah.
So we have a great program that solves that. And then the QuickBooks, if you allow us to connect it with that and connect it with the bank control everything. Okay, so every day they'll send over what came in and went out. And so the money that went out of the bank is looking for the bill it paid and it matches it up. Now this cuts down your end of year bills with your time and materials back. And the money that came in is looking to see who paid it. And if you lodged it, if it's 2 or 3 checks together, there's a way I would show you how to keep track of that. Because if a lump of money goes in, there's no way of knowing whose it is unless you kind of tell it, you know, that's normal enough, you know. So once those things are happening, it'll actually do the VAT for you pretty much automatic. And you can press a button at any stage that says how much you owe or how much you owe back. And people like us here, we're able to watch it without you kind of knowing we're watching it. Now, it's not creepy or anything. We can't hear you on the phone or anything, but we can kind of see how much activity is on there. And if things aren't working out, sometimes we have routine reports you anyway to say, depends what's important to you, but what's important to some people is, are they making money or not? Okay, so it might be how much you're owed is the important figure, or how much you have in the bank or whatever. So when you think about it, don't say, I want to know everything, because we could overwhelm you and the program would. But basically, it might just be one figure you need to know every week, and that'll automate. But really, to come back, once we integrate it the way I told you and tidy it up to a way that makes sense, that it's really a matter of, at the end of the year, telling you something that you already know. That's really it, okay? Because the app on your phone, or when you log on to the program, the figures shouldn't be changing really that much, you know? That's what we do. So to jump back to what we do then, is most people who hire us are a bit like yourself. They kind of like the program, it's not doing enough for them, and they've kind of taken off with it themselves. So for us to fix it up and put in all this stuff and train you, I can definitely give you a fixed fee for that and a proposal. I can give you that today once I have a look at it, no problem. And once we train you, that comes with 30 days unlimited support, okay? Now you might find, especially you, Julie, if you're kind of the techie head, that you don't really need us that much after that, you know, because we YouTube stuff and there's things out there who aren't me, you know, is on there, but some people just like us in the background. Okay, so I'll give you the idea of the support, right? I don't mind mentioning that. If you want us back to you within 5 days, it's 50 quid a month, okay? And if you want us back to you within a day, it's 100 quid a month. And there's an in-betweener. And if we miss those timeframes, we don't charge you for the month, okay? So now we love the 5-day stuff because it takes all the pressure off us. We've got 5 days, I can delegate it, we look in and we come back. But the 1-day stuff, we have to get up during the night, you know, if they're back. But a couple of guys who are paying us for the 1-day stuff definitely don't need to be paying us for that. We're just about to downgrade one of them anyway, because they never come near us really. In fact, just when you came on, what he did email me, because I changed some stuff here, and he's paid us for last month, but I didn't send him the invoice because I've changed kind of one of our little systems here. That's the only thing I've heard from him in 3 months, like, you know. So they don't need us. So the end of year stuff then is different. Like what I say to all the clients, and I said it to a long-term client yesterday, you know, accountants are to a penny. Don't be afraid to price round if price is the thing, you know. So one lady, I've said that to one of my long-term clients last night. I know her, and she will price round, and she could fire me tonight, you know. But certainly the way the records will go to your existing guy or any other accountant is, the better in order they are, the less they'll charge you, or the more they can do for you for a bit more money, you know. So we have 5 grades. So we grade 1 to 5. Number 5 is they're not online at all, and we have a pricing thing, and it adds on a 50% loading for having to do all the basics. And then there's grade 1. So it works out a bill. Let's say the bill is 1,000 quid. If you're online, you've done training and you're good at it, it comes down by 30% straight away. If you're online, you mean well, but you're not quite up to date, it comes down by 10% still. If you're online and everything's a mess, you just go with the price, and then it goes, you know, the price goes up and up depending on how disorganized they are. So really it should be a case that if we organize it and set it up right, the accounts will never be 100% there. There'll be 70 to 80%, because what's missing is what's not in there. You know, we can all see what's in there. Money came in, money went out, who got it, who took what that, all that is there. But like I'm looking at the two of you there in two different places, and there's probably stuff you're spending in your personal lives relevant to the business that we can't see, that we need to say, you know what, I'm always using my car to drive into town, and I've never charged for diesel. So is there anything I can get for that? So yeah, we could allow for that. Or it could be a case like the personal electricity could be included in there. Or have either of you got kids?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what age your child or children for?
5 and 7.
Okay, 5 and 7. So it's not too relevant today, but maybe a few years from now, we put them on the books that they do 10 hours a week. And if you want to put money aside for their future, they might just be feeding the dogs or something on a Saturday morning. If they're paid 100 quid a month into their bank account, like we do that through the books, it brings down your profit, brings down your income tax. It's a legitimate business expense that goes into their bank account. And when they're 18, there could be 5 or 6 grand in there waiting for them towards their 18.
Yeah, I've heard that is a possibility to do. Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah.
So that's only an example. There's other little things like that. But the more we kind of know about your personal life, have you cattle or anything like that? No.
Only in the freezer.
Only in the freezer. The most like some people farm next door, it's losing money all the time, and they just don't really bother. But if you kind of include the expense of that, the loss you're making on a side business that's not that something they like doing, that loss can be put against the profit of your day-to-day business and save you income tax. The same thing with you there, Julie. Like if you're the unpaid, there's no need for that, because if you were put on as an employee here, you'd at the very least, get the PAYE allowance, which would give you 8,000. He could pay you tax-free. Now, even if you don't get it, it could be, the term is accrued for, so it brings down his profit by 8 grand. He owes it to you. He pays less income tax in the meantime, but when the money's in the business, he'll pay you. I'll put it that way. And stuff like that, because you've no other income here, and it's just the more we know about you, the more we can do for you. So what gives us those clues is when we see stuff going on behind the scenes. Like you buy maybe an iPad or something, or a phone. Like all those is VAT on them. An asset that lasts, something that lasts more than a year. The tax break, you divide it by 8 for 8 years, and 1/8 is given to you as tax-free profit each year for 8 years. So stuff like that. But the QuickBooks gives us great visibility, because we're dealing in the here and now, and we're not dealing with a year behind. So that's kind of what to expect. So that's how that works. So what I might kind of have you have a think about is if you could add me as a user, as a company admin user, and I'll just have a look at what you have to set up. Now I'm a licensed accountant and all that, so I'm not going to run off with it, and you can sue me and win quick enough. And so anyway, we do this all the time, and then you can just take me off it, so but I'll come back to you with a kind of review of what you need done. But you're probably into fix up and set up and training. Training is 90 minutes. We record the whole thing, and then we give you unlimited support for a month. And I have 5 other people here who can step in if I can't, so that's how it goes, really. Yeah, anyway, that's it. But if you run a different online program, I wouldn't be able to help you,
I think using QuickBooks is no problem. And I think, if you or someone else in your team can explain to me what it is that you need us to do on a monthly basis, then I'm happy to do that. Yeah. Technology isn't anything that frightens me or daunts me in any way. So if you can explain it to me, then that's how it will happen. I would need to have a little bit more information though, Kevin, about this limited company business, because our other accountant is pushing quite hard for that at the minute. And we need to understand a little bit more about how that would work, particularly with Paul being on his own there. Because here in the UK, obviously, we need a company director and a company secretary. I assume it's much the same there. So we're kind of falling short of a second person since I'm not resident. Is that a factor? I don't know. Could I be a company secretary, or could you be the company secretary, or can we nominate a different registered office? Like how do we do that transition between sole trader and limited company? And the other thing that I'm conscious of as well is that Paul's personal tax return for last year is, I think, in progress because our year end is 31st of December. So the accountant should be well on with preparing that to let us know what the liability is. But how do we then transition between the sole trader and the limited company whilst taking account of his personal tax liability as well?
Because I spent quite a lot of money out myself last year on the new property that I had to do work to and that sort of stuff. So that's why we've asked him to work on it now, because it's probably going to be a lot more than it might be, really, in that way.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a tripwire on these. How long is the business going for?
I've been doing it a good long time, but doing it the way we've been doing it like now, it's what, about a year and a half, isn't it, Julie?
Company's been registered since July 2019.
Yeah, so I was doing it before that, but I was just doing normal sort of tax returns, really.
Oh, July 2020? 20.
When you say company, Julie, do you mean the business name, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's any problem with you being the secretary. I don't think it's just because the UK is out of the EU. But as long as one of the directors is an EU resident, which would be Padraig, the secretary can technically not be from the EU, so that's all right. What's that? We do have a little secretarial company that we set up for that event, but it's only if we run into the odd time that we need it, that we use it. So that's, so you're saving yourself 300 quid a year minimum by being able to do it yourself. So that's the first thing. Moving from a sole trader to a limited company is actually quite easy, but there's a little bit of a tripwire in there, and that's why I was asking how long the business was going. So it's got to do with this term called goodwill. What is the business worth? Okay, so effectively, a list of what you own and is transferring into the company just has to be done up. So money owed to you, money owed by you, any assets or equipment. Okay, so effectively, for want of a better word, you do an invoice for what they're worth to the company, Padraig. You don't get paid for that, you get a share in return. Okay, so he said, I'm giving these assets to that company for this share, so and liabilities, creditors, but the cash in your sole trader account right now stays with you. Okay, that's the first thing. So you open up a business bank account and all of that, and you could be the sole director and sole shareholder if that's your plan, and Julie could be the secretary. I'm 90% certain that'll be okay. If she couldn't, we have a separate company. There's a 2 or 3 at least to do them around Ireland. So there's a solution there. It might cost you a few quid more, but there's a solution here. And then the big thing is it's a whole other talk then, Julie, right? About the difference between running the business in your own name and running the business as a limited company. Because I have a few videos on our website about this. So it's just like I walked in and I put an old person down on the chair there behind you, Padraig, okay? And said, this person has money and they own stuff, okay? And I want you to mind them for the next year. And I want to know where, everything that came in from their money came from, where it went. Now, it sounds kind of a juvenile story that I'm telling you there, but a limited company is definitely like a separate person. So you might own it and be responsible for it, but your money is no longer not your own, okay? So you have to pay yourself to the PAYE system. So if it's, say, 1,000 a month or 2,000 a month you're paying yourself, the tax man has to be told that before you do it. And if you don't do it like that, and he finds out by checking up on you, there's a €4,000 fine. Okay, so no one gets paid until the tax man is told on the day or before. That's
okay.
The second thing then is the accounts. They can be, kind of abbreviated enough to go on public record each year. So they're kind of abbreviated. Not many would understand what they're looking at, but you're now kind of out there that people know what's going on with the business. So Jesus, how did that guy down the pub say, I must have had a good year last year? That type of thing may happen now. The third thing is there's a separate tax return for that company. And if you borrow money or give money to the company or miss the filing date, there's all these penalties and late filing fees that come into it. So I know with us, we make sure you never miss them anyway. But if you do miss them, it's not the end of the world, but money gets you out of those problems, It's costs and solicitors and court and this type of thing. So, but you are dealing with a whole different administrative burden now. And tax-wise, there is less tax, that's true. tax rate is 12.5%. And I'm mentioning that like the third or fourth way down. It's not as low as people think though. So 12, there's a thing a lot of accountants don't know about it called the professional services surcharge. Let me just see. Does your line of business fall into it? I'm just going to my own screen here quickly. So what this is for any service that's, it might fall into it. For one-man bands, we call them that, okay? That were running, say 10 years ago and up to now. My accounting, yeah, I'll share my screen here a second. They were effectively running their businesses through limited companies. It was mostly, Julia loved this, IT consultants working for Intel.
Exactly what I did, yeah.
Yeah. So the tax man found out about it, and everyone was getting away with, a lot less tax being paid. But so they effectively, in a really complicated way, rose the tax rate to 19%. That's what they've done. And there's a list of businesses. You just see the guy of the list. Actually, he doesn't. The revenue will have it anyway. Here it is. Yeah, so I was at an accountants conference. I had a run-in with a tax person and an audit here, and it's a long road without turning. So we won the audit, let's say, right? And and I knew about this tripwire, but she was gunning for this from the start, So there's all these professions that are there, and you recognize them. They're not you. Ones, they're not you. But then there's this killer line. While the above are considered to be providing services, the list is not intended to be an exhaustive list of all possible professions. So, yeah, something like they might try and catch you in that. So the tax rate is 12.5%. It doesn't mean like you're straight in there. There's things like that. But there, you see this one? It's very vague, this thing, and they're looking for that. So now liability is a great one. It's a great one for that. If something went wrong and one of the dogs attacked an employee or something like that, and you have to shut it down and go into liquidation and start again, at least you could say, I don't work for that company anymore. Remove you, there is that veil, so. Why is the other person going for the limited company? Like if it's partners, like the two of you were going into the business, that'd be a good reason for it. It's easy bringing partners, easy to separate them. So, but like it's not like tax. Some people think is the reason, but it's not most of the time. What's your thoughts on the limited company yourselves? I'm not putting you off it now. I'm just.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's a little bit difficult because whilst on the face of it, we're not listed there. I mean, you could make an argument that it is professional services delivery because there's no product exchange in hands. I think you'd have to argue it either way. The fact that we have online courses as well probably doesn't help because, that's kind of in the realms of private teaching. So that probably doesn't go in our favor to make it super, tax efficient. I think from Paul's point of view, he's probably got some other concerns, which are around his ongoing legal issues with his ex-wife. And he's currently in the process of appealing a maintenance agreement. So he has to consider carefully how to present his income and expenditure.
Right. And part of the thing with that was that it's basically they're not taking account when you go to court about what money you need to run the business. Yeah, so they're only looking at what money's in my account or what money's in the business account. And so basically it seems to be along the lines of like, what you need to pay seems to be like geared along what you can afford to pay rather than what's necessary, and I have my children a lot of the time, so I'm not happy with the order basically anyway. And that was another issue around it. Like if I'm on a fixed salary, it's easier to protect the business, the money in the business, to be able to run it, because if I can't do that, there'll be no business at all. That's the bottom line really, so that's part of it as well.
Okay, but that's a good reason. Yeah, so it separates you from the money. So you might own a company, but still not your money.
Yeah.
And that's if you're the shareholder, so someone else could be the shareholder too, or you can bring in partners as well and that type of thing. Okay, very good. There's avenues to pay yourself tax-free money out of business too, like inexpensive. And without going into it, well, I mean, I can go into it. If you're over 100 kilometers away from your base, and although I hate the word entitled, right? But you are, what's the word? I'll use a different word. I hate that different word.
It is acceptable too.
You can legitimately say to the company, I'm only over here, I'm here so late, I've got to stay the night to get the job finished. I'll find my own accommodation, and the civil service, the rate is 133 euros a night. So you can bill the company 133 euros for being away on their business. And when they have the money, they'll pay you. Okay. So, and if you sleep in the car or stay with a mate or get a hotel, it doesn't matter as long as they okay it. And the same goes if you're more than 5 hours away from the base and less than 10. It's approximately 11 or 12 euros a day. You can claim it's like extra lunch money for being away from your base, and that's your base there. Or for more than 10 hours, but not overnight, it's 33 euros. And things like that, and it really adds up, so on the move. So what you might find is that you could drop your wages legitimately because you're getting recompensed for using your own car or being away. Like, do you do on-site training for it? Or?
We do some regular sessions, but generally most of the training that we do is at home. There's a couple of places that I go quite regularly. So one would be in Belfast, the other one on the way to Galway, and I also do go to the UK some of the time as well.
Okay. Yeah, so just knowing, do you remember I said it's not what's in the accounts, it's what's not in the accounts? So knowing your movements there now kind of gives you extra expenses you can legitimately include in the accounts.
And things are already in.
Yeah. Some of them are, but I mean, we've discussed this a lot about sort of what to use the business card for when you're away, like coffee or lunch or whatever. Do you mean this sort of stuff? What is reasonable, what is not, this kind of thing.
Yeah, I've just got this with someone yesterday, kind of a newish client of mine, but she's doing an awful lot right. And just give you an example. So some of the things not going right were, anyway, she's gone away with cars since the pandemic. So a few of them have cars going around, and she said she got rid of the crap. So, but one of them, while the car had to be picked up, was using it in and out to work, which she kind of turned a blind eye to. And then when the car got taken, because she handed it back, he was getting taxis in and out to work and handing her the bill, And so I had to look through, and there was coffees and all this going on. So if you have a canteen in the office there and you've a coffee maker, no problem, stuff like that. Okay. I'm just talking about an awkward tax guy. If you're buying coffee, you're walking around with it. That's not allowed as a business expense. Okay. The way out of it though is if you're more than 5 hours and less than 10 away, a couple of days a week. So with QuickBooks, we can automatically have you charge it, let's say 40 quid a week. Now you can up it or down it compared to the reality when the week's over,
Right.
But at least those coffees can be set against it. Okay. So you might have charged 40 quid for being away from base, but I see these coffees and tea have been taken out by your debit card. So they're being offset against it, and that keeps it clean then. Okay. So, and that's fine. And, but there's a document, IT54, Julie, if you want to download it.
Okay.
If you Google that, IT54, and it's on our website somewhere as well. If you go to the blog or video section of our website, there's a few little articles. We wrote them ourselves, and the videos there and cartoony things. And 20 minutes there, you could save yourself thousands,
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So just knowledge of what exists, really. No more than that TV behind you, like that could be a business expense as well, because you're watching videos on YouTube about different techniques to do with dogs. I know some would be personal, but there's always tax breaks there, So.
All right. Okay.
Stuff like that.
Kevin, I wanted to ask another thing. So with Paul working in Belfast some of the time, what should, that's invoiced in sterling, and paid in sterling. Should we be adding 23% VAT to that invoice? Or should we be paying EU VAT on UK sales?
It depends at the other side. Is it a business or a private thing for them up there? If they're VAT registered is the first question.
No, they're persons. These are individuals that are paying.
Yeah, but then you charge VAT. Yeah,
Right.
charge Irish VAT actually.
Okay.
Yeah, they love that up north when I say Irish. You know, so.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that won't go down well.
We are. Okay, you're all right, lads. Relax. Okay. No, yeah, you
Oh,
charge
yeah.
Republic VAT, let's say 2023. So, but if it was a business up there, if someone else was, I don't know, security dogs or something. I mean, are most of your clients private people who want the dog trained, is it? Or what's the...
Yeah.
Most of them are, but some of them also have their own dog businesses. So we train other trainers. So it is variable. And I guess if there's an opportunity then to say you as a collective, so quite often what happens is in sport training, 8 or 10 people will get together and we'll bill them for the day's training and they'll split the cost between them. And normally this is just an invoice directly to an individual, but it's an opportunity to say to them, one of you who has a dog related business and is VAT registered should be the person who gets the invoice, and you can do whatever you want and collect the money and all the rest of it. Then that would reduce your costs. Decide what you want to do, guys. Then, you know, that's also an option. You know, we could say that to someone if it's beneficial.
Yeah, I just have to think in there too. Do you know the way they're anyway, what I've told you is correct today, right? It's funny in the north, but let's just say they abandon the EU. You know, they've all the benefits, but anyway, we all laugh at them down here. You know, and my wife's crowd are from the north. You know, so and but if they kind of pull out the EU and they take away that invisible wall and all that, they're now left the EU. So then, actually, funny enough, we don't charge them VAT. Then they're out. It's like they're in America. They're what's called on QuickBooks out of scope. They're not in the EU. So when they're in the EU, we charge them VAT unless they have a VAT number, like your dog trainer. And that's the status they have now. If one of them is VAT registered up there and they give you the VAT number, we don't charge them VAT down here. And there's a special button on QuickBooks as to what we put it in. It's
so if we were doing that to the UK, given that they have left the EU, so on days when Paul comes and he trains in the UK, they don't get charged VAT at all.
That's correct, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Out of scope as well. There's a button OOS, that's the one you use, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So that's that one. But that is always tricky and it changes, and there's a couple of tricky forms that have to be filled out. But if it's the Irish QuickBooks you're on, which it probably is, the solutions are all on there basically. Yeah.
Right.
So that's really that. Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. So really what I might ask you to do, Julie, right? If I mean I have a list of stuff, but
and add to it. I will do that now.
You just add as the user. I'm going to give you a different email. So I was on the UK QuickBooks myself for years, and then they brought out the Irish version, and I'm kind of a consultant with QuickBooks now. But I only got a chance to move myself from the UK to the Irish one at Christmas, and that was how some of them didn't get their invoices because I just didn't set that up, you know. So
where did I add you, Kevin?
Okay, on the top right of your screen, there should be a cog there, like a crank of a wheel.
Yep.
Yeah, if you click on that and then go to manage users.
Yep.
And you can
add
a user
you in there.
Yeah, there's the accountant section there. You see the accountant section there? Yeah, go into that side and add me there.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a funny email. It's just one I have for the Irish one until I set up the proper lab. It's a Hotmail one.
Okay.
Jejoba, Jejoba.
Jejoba.
At hotmail.com.
At hotmail.com. Okay.
And I'll have you add our normal Irish one as well. Okay. Kevin at kevinbarry.ie. I've 2 umbrella ones, and they're both into me here, but depending on which version you have,
it wants me to validate it. Hang on a sec.
Yeah, depending on which version you have, it'll take one of those to me here. Yeah. Some people have there was a global version, and QuickBooks have changed it to an Irish version, but there's little behind the scene quirks. So one of those will get me in.
Kevin at kevinbarry.ie. Yeah, I just need to wait for this flag to come through from QuickBooks with a verification code on it.
Yeah, so if you add, so would you add the two of them, Julie, Kevin and Kevin Barry, and Joe by Hotmail?
Sure, will do.
Is there any question I didn't ask you that you thought I might, or anything else that's on your mind? Or?
No, I think that's most of it, isn't it?
I think that's, yeah, that probably is most of it. I mean, we've got a bit of a planning session in the next couple of weeks where we're going to sit down and start to look at, you know, where do we need to start to move strategically for like Q3, Q4 and beyond. The next couple of, you know, like probably the next half year's fairly well embedded now. I think we're booked out until the end of May. So we've got really the kind of second half of the year we want to firm up on, and then I'd like to have all of this stuff on a bit more of an even keel so that, you know, we're able to make better decisions for next year. And we've got a bunch of things that we still need to sort out, one of which, you know, it could change the accounting, because we might then look more at this limited company, and we might do something with a limited company together, or we might do more than one limited company. I might move to Ireland. It's all a little bit up in the air just now. So I think once we've sat down in the next couple of weeks, and if you've had an opportunity to have a look at our QuickBooks and have a bit of a fish around in what we've done so far, if you've got any questions, just fire them over to me. I'm happy to answer any and all questions you might have. And then once we've had that sit down, we'll probably come back to you then, Kevin, to say, right, this is how we think we want to move forward. Tell us if you see any obvious pitfalls for us.
Okay, I'll do that. So in the short term, what I'll just see what you need on the QuickBooks front. And then, you know, you can just, so they say the here and now stuff, and then the more longer term decisions, you can revisit them. So you may or may not hire us to do the cleanup stuff with the QuickBooks and get it functioning right, so you know where you're going. Like it'll do budgeting and targets for you as well if you have the top version. You know, you may have it already. I'm not sure.
Couldn't.
I don't know.
Certainly, the ability to scan in receipts and that sort of stuff, and have less sort of trouble with the management of them, and that sort of stuff, and having to sort them out like that. That definitely sounds like an attractive, you know, proposition. Really, you know, at least you know they're done straight away as you go. You know. Yeah,
and it's great. Like people on that, and that's all they live for. They love it. You know, really busy businesses and really quiet ones. That's called Dex. It's a UK thing we use, and it's fantastic. It's a change your life job, that one, and it's simple. And who hates them? I'll tell you who hates them, right? Accountants and bookkeepers, because they all have this thing. Oh my God, I won't be needed anymore. You know, and
it means that you spend your day actually doing accounting instead of chasing dross.
Exactly. I know it. I love tearing into bookkeepers and all that, because they all have this thing about their hours. They want hours, you know, and they're a drain on the business. I told a few of them there recently in a group. I said, unless they go on to this, you know, accountants like me will wipe them out within 12 months. They need to be up there, because the business owners all know about it.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll look at them and say, why do I need that person, you know? And then there's this thing called Upwork, where you can get foreigners to do some jobs for a fraction of the price. And, yeah, so I'm looking at these guys who think they're important as a bookkeeper. I tell one accountant guy who's kind of a bookkeeper, not far from you now, Padraig.
All right.
I just say to him, it's not all about you. He was telling how everything has to be done his way. And I said, all these they'll abandon you overnight unless you move with the times. So anyway.
Much the same as we do. I mean, we try to automate as much as we possibly can, and we certainly, much the same as yourself, try to create videos and, you know, online training courses and things like this for all the really common stuff that we have to do over and over and over again with pretty much every single person that's ever going to buy a dog. So it leaves us then free to do the more complex work, the more interesting work, so that, you know, you're not just shoveling shit and, you know, doing the work.
It's not just that repetitive drossy stuff the whole time, you know.
Exactly. Yeah,
I think it's important that people start to move more towards that, because, you know, as a professional, you want to use the skills you have, not have them atrophy because you're spending all your time doing the absolute mundane grunt work.
Exactly. Yeah, your life will ebb away, you know. So I'm after sending my son something about that. About no excuses. It's a really good little motivational video, and I needed it this week. So
Yeah, there are no excuses. And it is February, and so it is the most horrible time of year for people to remain motivated. So I think you do the right thing to dig in there.
very good. So where are you in Scotland, Julie?
I'm not. I'm in West Yorkshire.
Oh, West Yorkshire. You're Scottish.
Yeah, I'm Scottish, but
All right.
yeah, I left Scotland about 25 years ago. But my accent says 25 minutes ago. I know.
You wouldn't know without it.
You wouldn't know. Mind you, you only went as far as Yorkshire. You didn't get that far. So
No, I did. I went all the way, as far away as you could. I went to the Channel Islands.
wow.
And then I lived in London for a while. I lived in Manchester. I've lived in Halifax. So I've
gradually working your way back.
Gradually going home. Yeah, it's now I'm kind of at this point. It's either do you go home or do you go across the sea?
Very good.
I'm undecided, but yeah, I think there needs to be more Celtic influence in my life, shall we say.
Very good.
And I was born here, but I grew up in London, see, so hence the fact that I sound the way I do.
Wow. Well, actually, I was born in London until I was 6, but I still got a bit of a twang. And over here, they all call me an English guy, and over there, they'll call me a Paddy. So,
this is the thing, yeah, exactly. I get normally people think I sound like I'm from New Zealand or Australia. That's what I get a lot, really. But you know,
you've that New Zealand look about you, all right? You know, yeah. Don't mess with this guy.
Oh my God.
Very good
stuff.
Okay. Okay, well, that hasn't come to yet to me here, Julie. So what I'll do is I'll wait. I'll let you know when it comes through. Okay. And we've a list here all the time, but by this time, so I'll do a review anyway. It won't be that in depth. Just have a look at how the fix-up is set up, and kind of know what you need. And I'll come back to you with a proposal and a few things to think about. At least you know where you're going with time and money-wise. I mean, we've a lot of this on the go at the moment, so you know, don't feel I'm not rushing you at all. So whenever you kind of think things through, we could have another Zoom again and answer any other questions you need and stuff like that. And the longer term stuff, I'll direct you both to a couple of really short, they're not enough, but little videos we have on some of the items we spoke about today, like coming into a company and that, and just thought-provoking. But generally, if it's the way to go business-wise, it's the way to go. Like I'm pointing out the what's the word, the sterner side of the company side of things. But I have tons of clients in companies. We've set up 2 or 3 inside the last month for guys and girls. But they would have got the same type of speech. Do you need it? Where, you know, because there's like 3 or 4 who are in the courts this month, hopefully, over missing deadlines. And when you miss them in the old days, I could ring up and give a legitimate excuse, like the pandemic and all this. Now, that's not there. You have to go to a judge and talk to them and get out. And an excuse has nothing to do with me. It's got to do with them, you know, not having their houses in order, you know. So,
it's always best to look at all the sides of it, and I'd rather look at all the downsides more than anything, really, so you have a good idea what's going on. Really, that's
yeah, and it's fine when you have that. Once you understand it, you're fine, you know. And if you ever want to sell the business, it's easy to sell a company. Then you sell the shares, and you're, you know, it's a clean break. They know what they're getting. It's easier for someone to value it. So you got to think of that down the road too. That there's a business here that's, you know, worth something. And if you're 10 years in it, I mean, I don't know what age you are, but if you're 10 years in it and you've now hit 55 or more, you can sell a business for an unlimited amount of money tax-free up until you're 65, and then it begins to fall away. You know, not all of it is tax-free after that. So kind of gives you an exit strategy, and there's lots of pluses as well. But just the day-to-day nitty-gritty, you know, I kind of really focus on that, because a few clients of mine who were clients anyway, they wanted a company for certain projects, and anyway, that was fine. And then when the project was over, they kind of ignored everything, and to shut it down is a mess. Then you have fines and penalties, and you have to get on a list, and you know, it's not nothing that 1,000 or 2,000 won't sort out, but it's just I blame myself for not giving them the drilling that I give everyone now. You know, I said I didn't do it strong enough then. You know, so but otherwise it works fine. You know, you set up on QuickBooks, the different QuickBooks, it's fine. Yeah. So.
Okay, cool.
But just to finish on that little note. All right, so I'll email you, Julie, when those links come through, or it'll
I've just
notify
had a
me.
look at this, Kevin. It's only allowed me to add one other accountant. So we've got a regular accountant. I've added you, and then it won't give me the option to invite another person. It's all grayed out.
Okay, let me just see. Did that one come through on the
Hotmail account.
actually didn't check that. That sign there. Fine. The other one came through. It's fine. I'll just see if I can link. Oh yeah, LibertyK9. That one's here. I'll just check it comes in. Okay, I'm accepting that. If this one works, it'll be fine. Yeah, that's worked fine. Okay, that's grand. So I don't need the other one yet. I just took the two, the 3 versions of QuickBooks that were there, say up to 2 years ago, and now it's down to Ireland or UK. But there was this global one, which was I wonder would you be on it? That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm fine to work away now. So I'll let you go. I've recorded this as well, so I'll send you the link when it comes through, just in case anything what I said or try and remember what you said to me or anything like that. It's handy. So.
All right, cool.
All right.
Thanks very much for your time, Kevin.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Take care.
Lovely.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye now. Bye-bye.